Hey everybody, welcome back to Creating Scenery for Microsoft Flight Simulator using free resources. We are finishing up on our Quonset Hangar series. This would be part 10A, because this is probably going to be a long one, so I'm going to split it up. Previously, in other videos, we've been using the Timken hangar at KCAK, Akron-Canton Airport. We got to the point where we were adding textures, and I showed you different methods of texturing. So you can basically just go through different parts of that model and apply textures. I don't really think you need to see me keep doing that over and over, at least right now. But that's what we would have done, was just kind of finish that hangar using the different techniques of applying textures to it. However, I need to get Burke Lakefront Airport, KBKL. I need to get that done. And it has a Quonset hangar. So I thought I would finish this series using this hangar for the final steps of getting your hangar into the sim. Okay, now this one's a little bit more detailed. I have gone in and did some interior stuff. So if I turn off the ceiling and the roof, you can see that I did the framing inside. I put some light fixtures on the inside, a couple of helicopters. I can't take credit for making the helicopters. I just found those when I was doing a search for 3D printer files, and so I imported those into Blender, did some editing, changed the colors, that kind of stuff, and then used them as a model inside the hangar. All right. Maybe I'll show you a video of how I find these objects and stuff sometime. All right, so the next step is there's one other item that I want to make for this model before I start organizing it in its final form to put it into the sim. And what I'm going to do is let me turn on the ceiling and the roof again. All right. But I'm going to select the roof, and I'm going to make a copy of that. Let me turn on, have my screencasts on? Yeah, now they are. There we go. Okay, so I'm select the hangar roof, and I do a Shift D to duplicate it, and hit Escape so I don't move it away from its spot. Okay, and I'm going to rename this to EO Hangar. Just like that. Okay, so now I have a new item, and we're going to go into edit mode. Okay, turn on X-ray so we can see all of our stuff, and I'm going to go to vertex so I can see my vertices. And what we're going to do is we're going to select these bottom four. Well, first of all, let me zoom in real close here and see what I got. That's my problem. Okay. All right. So it looks like I have a subdivision modifier on it. Okay, but it also has thickness to it, so I must have a solidify modifier that I applied. Okay, so I need to know that. All right, so what I'm going to do is I don't want the whole thing. I don't want the 3D roof. All right, so, and that's what I have in this particular model, or of this object for EO Hangar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Polygon Select, And I'm going to turn off X-ray so I only select the top polygons. There we go, just like this. Okay. So it's the roof was 3D, okay? Because I made the ceiling out of it too, so it has thickness to it. All right, and I applied that modifier. So what I'm doing is for the EO hanger object, I'm not using the 3D portion of it. All right, so I have all the outside faces of that object selected. The inside faces, let me turn the ceiling off if I can find it. Where's my ceiling? Where's my ceiling? Hanger ceiling is... Where is hanger ceiling? Hanger ceiling right there. Let's turn that off. Okay, so I got the outside faces selected. And if I go to select, invert, it selects the faces that are not what I had selected. Okay, so I switch the select. All right, and now I'm going to delete, hit the delete key, and I am going to delete faces. So now we just have a flat curved plane, basically, is what that is. All right, and that is the EO hanger. Now we're going to turn on, I'm going to go ahead and do a save here. All right, now we're going to turn the X-ray back on, go back to vertices select. And I'm going to select all the vertices, and I'm going to hit M, and I'm going to merge by distance. And basically what that does is I might have two vertices that are on top of each other sharing the same coordinate, and that merge tool that I just used deletes one of the vertices and kind of rebuilds that corner or whatever and only has one vertice. So I don't have any stray or orphan vertices hanging around. All right, so we clean that up. Now I am going to stay in vertices select. I'm going to select these bottom corners of my EO hanger object, and I'm going to hit F, and I'm going to add a new face to the bottom. Now I need sorry. Now I need to add faces to the edges, to the ends. All right, so I'm going to go edge select, and I'm going to try to do it this way first. I'm going to hit the Alt key and click one of the edges, and it only selects the edges around the end, and then I'm going to hit F. So now I have a face on that end. Now I need to do the same on the other side. So I'm going to hold the Alt key with edge select, select that, and now that's selected, and hit F. Now I have a closed in box, so to speak. It's not a box, but it's the shape of our hanger. I have that object created. So let's get out of edit mode and come over to materials, and we want to remove any textures that are associated with it. Okay, so we just did that. You can't really see it because I have all the other stuff on right now. Now what we're going to do is we're going to turn this into this object that we just created, that's the shape of our hanger. We're going to turn that into an environmental occluder. And what that tells the sim is do not rain or snow inside of this object. Okay, and that's pretty simple to do after you create your object. Is over here, come down to materials, create a new one, and we're going to call this environment. Okay, so environment. So that's my new material. And I'm going to come down here to MSFS parameters. I'm going to go from disabled and make that an environmental occluder. So that creates this green ghost type of a box. Okay. Now I want to create one that is the office itself. All right. So I'm going to use the roof. So I'm going to select the roof. And let me see if I have any modifiers on it. I do not. And let me see, go into edit mode and see if that is not 3D, so that's good. That's just a plane. I'm going to go to edge select, hold down my alt key, select an edge, alt shift, alt shift, alt shift, alt shift. Okay, so I did a series of alt shifts and selected the edges so I can get all the way around that roof. Okay. Oh, I know what I forgot to do. Let me undo that for a second. And I forgot to make a copy of that roof. So I'm going to do a Shift D to duplicate. And if I move my mouse, you see how it moves. I don't want it to move. So without clicking my mouse, I just hit escape so I don't move that object. Come over here to hit my period. And let's change this to EO office. Okay. And that should put it in alphabetical order right after our other environmental occluder. How come it didn't? Oh, because it's in a different collection, that's why. But we'll take care of that later. All right, so now we have our EO office created from our roof. Now we'll go into edit mode. And my edges are still selected, which is good. All right, I don't have to reselect them. Now what we're going to do is turn snapping on and on edges right up here. And we're going to extrude that down to create a block. All right, so we're going to E in the Z direction, and I'm going to snap to the floor. Okay, so we have a box inside of there, right? Okay, now I want to do a couple loop cuts in order to extrude this face right here to make the shape of the sunroom. So I'm going to do a Control R, and I'm going to click and snap to the top of the sunroom. Okay, just like that. And then I need a vertical one for this wall here. So I'll do Control R, click, and drag it, snap it to that line. Now I'm going to go into face mode, select this face, and we're going to extrude that out. I don't need to put Z on it because it's just going to automatically go the direction of the normals. So I'm going to hit E. And I'm going to snap it to the end of the sunroom. Now we need to drop these two corners down to match the slope of our roof. So we'll GZ and snap those there. Okay, so our environmental occluder is kind of the shape of the office. All right, now let's get out of edit mode and come to materials, and let's remove the roofing material texture. And since we have an environmental texture created already from doing the hangar, we can just click on that. So now we have two environmental occluders for our hangar. Okay, so good time to do a save. I'm gonna hit pause and catch my breath for a second. Okay, I'm back. All right, so we just finished our environmental occluders for our hangar and the office space. Those are just two objects that I hadn't done yet, so I might as well show you how to do that. Did a save already, I think. Okay, so Now our hanger is at the point where we're at the next portion of getting this bad boy all tidied up and organized to create all of our levels of detail. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a save as, because I want to keep green hanger with hanger spelled wrong. I want to keep green hanger as kind of like an archive. All right, just in case something goes wrong, I can go back to it. So I'm going to save as, and we're going to go into our model lib directory folder in our project, and I'm going to give this Blender file a new name, and I'm going to call this service hanger, spelled correctly. Okay, and I'm going to put LOD at the end. And when I have LOD at the end, that tells me, you know, a year from now, if I do an update, that this is the most current version of the model. So I hit enter and save as. Now in Blender, we are no longer working on green hanger. We're working on service hanger, and this is going to be the Blender file that I use forever and ever from this point forward. Okay, it's my final product or my final model, but it is not organized, and that's what we're going to do now, is kind of reorganize this project. We're going to get rid of stuff we don't need. Okay, now really as a refresher to levels of detail, remember that your model in the sim is bigger than the actual model itself, okay? Because it occupies a spherical space. The sphere is roughly the diameter of the width of your object, okay? So my sphere isn't going to be at the top of the building and then to the bottom of the building. It's not going to be this big. It's going to be this big, okay? I mean, it's going to be much larger than your overall building. And remember, for levels of detail, the height of that sphere is what calculates when it is seen, okay? So you can use Blender as kind of an eyeball of what percent of that sphere do you want to cover the screen when it starts to show up or when it disappears. Okay, so here we're zoomed in. Now we don't get a percentage of the screen in Blender, but you can kind of eyeball it. All right, so this right here is probably, I would say, 80% of the screen. Okay, because that sphere comes up but doesn't quite go out of the screen itself. Okay, now if I zoom out, you're going to notice my drawing disappears after a while. Okay, after a couple scrolls of the mouse. If you want to increase the distance in Blender, okay, come over to View and see this end number, 3,281 feet. That means that that's the view distance of my object. It's 3,281 feet, which is less than a mile, right? Okay. You can just put a larger number in there. Like in this case, I'm going to put 10,000 feet. So I can zoom out even further and the model still shows up in Blender. Okay, so you can play with that distance to get an idea of how far your building is at a certain idea. So I bet the sphere of this object is probably less than 10% of the screen now. Okay, it's probably 50% of the screen here. Okay, or quarter percent, whatever. All right, so anyway, I digress, but it's just a refresh of levels of detail. Now, We're going to concentrate first on X00, and X00 is your most detailed level of detail. All right, so let's get rid of stuff we don't need. So in our table of contents over here, I have all my objects, and they were organized in collections: service hangar, office, and then I have a generic one for any other stuff that I might have. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to collapse these by hitting the triangles, and I'm going to come to Scene Collection, right click, New Collection, and then I'm going to rename that new collection X00. So now I have a collection that's going to hold all of my high detailed models. Okay, the next step is I'm going to go into Service Hangar in this particular case, and I'm going to hit the Shift A so I expand all of the objects folders in my project. Okay, so I can select everything. Okay, if I have a relationship between two objects, like let's say I have a light bulb and I have the light fixture itself, and I parented those together, that relationship gets put into a folder kind of like this. Okay, in order to select the lowest object in that hierarchy, I have to expand that folder out like this, so I can select the lowest, so I can select that child of the parent. You with me so far? Okay. So I hit Shift A just to open up every folder that's in this project. Okay. Now I'll hit A to select everything. So everything in my project that I have visible. Okay, notice I have some grayed out objects. It won't select those, which is good. You don't want those selected. Okay, I only want everything that's visible all the way through the hierarchy of the relationships. You with me? I know that sounds confusing, but anyway, it works. So I have everything selected. Now I want to move those objects to my new X00 collection. So I hit M and select X00 collection. So now all these objects I have selected. Now I'm going to hit Shift A again and close those, collapse everything. So everything now that it was selected is now in X00. So let's expand that out. There they are right there. Okay. Now the only things, since Service Hangar still has a triangle next to it, that means there's objects that weren't selected. So I'm going to, to be safe, let's go ahead and turn off X00 so you don't inadvertently select things out of that collection. Okay, so turn it off. Go to Service Hangar, expand that, and here's all the objects I had turned off. But I don't need those anymore, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn all those on. Okay, so I have all those turned on. I'm going to hit an A, and I'm just simply going to delete them. Now Service Hangar is empty. There's no triangle there anymore. Okay, so let's get rid of the Service Hangar and the Office collection. So right click on the Service Hangar, delete. Right click the Office, delete. Okay, so everything is gone that we don't need in those two collections. But I still have a collection that has objects in it. These are temporary stuff. I don't really need these. Okay, like I never save the camera and the default light that Blender does. Okay, so let's turn all those on. I don't really need the reference image anymore. Okay, because anything that I need a photo for from this point forward, I'm going to get in the sim anyway. Okay, so with all those open and viewed, I hit A to select it and delete it, and now I have an empty collection. All right, so I'm going to right click that empty selection and delete it. So the only collection I have now is my X00. Click off of that so I don't have anything selected, and do a file, save. So that is a new fresh Blender file with no temporary stuff. Everything's organized the way that I want. Okay, I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop this video. This will be part 10A, and just basically call this one organizing. I'm going to come right back and start recording part B, or 10B. And 10B is we are going to set up our next level of detail, which is going to be X01. Okay, so hey, I thank you guys for watching this video, and I'm going to be recording this stuff all day, so I will stop this one so you catch your breath. I thank you guys for watching my videos, and I ask you, please subscribe if you want. I mean, you don't have to, but it'd really help me out. If you do subscribe, hit the notification bell for upcoming videos. And if you guys feel inclined, I do have a Buy Me a Coffee account, buymeacoffee.com/myphysicalworld. Hey, you guys have a great day, and I will see you right back to back on 10B. We'll see you guys later.